In the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter's nightmarish vision centers on insurance investigator John Trent, who's tasked with finding missing horror author Sutter Kane. What begins as a straightforward case spirals into a labyrinth where fiction bleeds into reality. Kane's novels literally reshape the world, transforming readers into deranged servants of ancient cosmic powers. The genius of this universe lies in its meta-commentary on horror itself. The stories we consume might be gateways for something incomprehensible to enter our world. The blurred boundary between imagination and reality forms this universe's foundation. As Trent discovers, Kane doesn't merely write horror, he channels primordial entities existing beyond human perception. His books function as rituals, summoning these beings into our dimension. What distinguishes this universe is how it weaponizes art. Language becomes viral, reading becomes possession, and consuming entertainment transforms into religious devotion. The film's cyclical narrative structure mirrors cosmic horror's view of time. Not linear, but recursive and predetermined. Perhaps most disturbing is the implication that we, the viewers, are complicit in this cosmic invasion, simply by engaging with the story. The final shot of Trent laughing maniacally in a theater, watching himself in the very film we're viewing, suggests we've already been infected by whatever lies beyond the page. Archive 81. A man restores damaged videotapes for a mysterious company, uncovering footage from an apartment building that no longer exists. As Dan watches Melody investigate a cult years ago, strange sounds begin bleeding through his headphones. The tapes show impossible things. Rituals that bend reality, a figure who appears in mirrors, rooms that shouldn't exist. But the real horror starts when Dan realizes he's not just watching the past is watching him back. This isn't just about found footage. Archive 81 creates a world where perception itself becomes a weapon. Those who witness certain sounds and images become vessels for entities that exist between dimensions. The act of documenting reality, through film, audio, or memory, creates bridges these entities use to cross over. Even Dan's careful restoration work is secretly repairing these bridges. What makes this universe truly terrifying is how it weaponizes the search for truth. Melody wanted to document a strange building. Dan wants to discover what happened to her. Both are pulled into cosmic horror precisely because they keep looking, keep listening, keep trying to understand. The more evidence they gather, the more vulnerable they become. Archive 81 suggests something deeply unsettling. Maybe some truths aren't meant to be archived, and the human desire to preserve and understand everything is exactly what makes us perfect hosts for things that should remain forgotten. Azathoth. The universe isn't born from divine light, but blind chaos. Close your eyes and feel the void beneath reality's thin skin. That emptiness pulses with Azathoth's dreamless sleep. At creation's nucleus writhes the nuclear chaos, the demon sultan, an idiot god whose mindless slumber accidentally birthed existence. Every star, every thought, every moment of human history vibrates as mere static in its senseless dream. Should this blind idiot deity ever stir awake, reality would vanish like morning mist, not destroyed but simply unrealized. Run your fingers through sand on a beach. Each grain represents a galaxy. Now watch as waves erase your touch without notice or memory. That's your cosmic significance. Your greatest triumph, your deepest love, your most profound sacrifice, all amount to random neural firings in a brain without consciousness. What freezes the blood isn't monsters lurking in darkness, but the revelation that darkness itself is all that truly exists. The light is temporary, accidental, meaningless. In most horrors, suffering carries purpose. Divine punishment, natural selection, at least the indifference of physics. But in Azathoth's shadow, even suffering lacks significance. Here, nihilism isn't philosophy. It's simply the operating system of a reality running on chaos. The Lighthouse. 2 men. 1 rock. Infinite madness. Eggers traps us in a black and white nightmare where reality crumbles like salt-soaked timber. The lighthouse beam doesn't warn ships away. It beckons something ancient towards shore. Wake guards his lantern with religious fervor, whispering to it in archaic verse when nobody's watching. Is he mad? Or conversing with entities beyond human comprehension? His weathered face transforms during storms, features rearranging into something barely recognizable. The film never confirms if mermaids exist or Wake controls the weather, leaving viewers trapped in the same epistemological crisis as Winslow. Time behaves strangely here. Days stretch, contract, repeat. The spiral staircase becomes Winslow's personal hell, each ascent bringing him closer to knowledge no human mind should possess. When he finally breaches the forbidden room, what he witnesses doesn't destroy him immediately, but initiates a metamorphosis. Is it light that drives men mad, or madness that draws them to light? The genius lies in ambiguity. Winslow's broken body could represent cosmic punishment or merely the lonely fate of someone who drank too much, trusted too little, and climbed too high. Either way, gulls feast on his flesh, nature reclaiming what ventured beyond its proper boundary. Outer Wilds. Beneath its charming veneer, Outer Wilds conceals a profoundly unsettling cosmic horror universe. You pilot a spacecraft in a miniature solar system locked in a 22-minute time loop, inevitably ending with the sun's supernova. This universe introduces cosmic horror through archaeological discovery rather than confrontation. You piece together the fate of the Nomai, an ancient alien species who pursued a signal from something called the Eye of the Universe, a celestial body older than the universe itself. The Nomai's desperate attempts to reach the Eye led to their extinction, leaving only ruins across planets that crumble, flood, or implode while you explore them. The universe reveals itself as fundamentally ephemeral, where entire civilizations rise, fall, and are forgotten. Time itself becomes a horror element. The relentless countdown to supernova creates constant dread, while quantum mechanics force you to confront reality's fundamentally unstable nature. On Quantum Moon, objects exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed, challenging basic assumptions about existence. What elevates this universe is its bittersweet perspective on cosmic insignificance. Unlike many cosmic horror narratives, Outer Wilds suggests meaning can exist even in a universe indifferent to our presence. The final moments offer a gentle reframing of cosmic horror, where awareness of our temporary existence becomes not just terrifying, but somehow beautiful. Love, death, and robots. Beyond the Aquila Rift. A transport ship makes a routine faster-than-light jump, but awakens far off course, docked at an unfamiliar station. The Captain Tom reunites with an old flame, Greta, who mysteriously runs this remote outpost. She gently explains they've jumped much farther than intended, beyond the Aquila Rift, thousands of light years from planned coordinates. As Tom struggles to accept this reality, glitches appear, crew members he can't quite remember, station layouts that shift when he's not looking. This isn't just about being lost in space. Beyond the Aquila Rift creates a universe where cosmic mercy comes in the form of comfortable lies. When Greta finally shows Tom reality, we see the truth. The station is an alien web. Their bodies are desiccated corpses kept alive for years, and Greta is a massive arachnid creature creating a simulation to shield Tom's mind from the horror of their situation. What makes this truly disturbing is the cosmic kindness that's almost worse than cruelty. The alien doesn't harm them. It cannot send them home. It simply gives them beautiful dreams while their bodies decay. When Tom's mind rejects the illusion, the creature gently wipes his memory and starts again, explaining, "No one should have to face this reality." Beyond the Aquila Rift suggests something profoundly unsettling. In a universe vast beyond comprehension, perhaps the most merciful thing higher beings can offer us isn't salvation but comfortable delusion while we die, because the truth of our cosmic insignificance is too much for human minds to bear. Under the Skin, Scotland's grey streets, a woman hunting, men vanishing into black pools, Glazer crafts extraterrestrial horror through deliberate disorientation. City scenes unfold through hidden cameras, capturing authentic reactions from unsuspecting men, documentary technique serving surrealist nightmare. The alien doesn't hate humanity, doesn't love it, doesn't comprehend it. She processes male bodies with factory efficiency, skin preserved while organs dissolve into nutrient slurry shipped elsewhere. For what purpose? We never learn. Perhaps knowing would break us. Her motorcycle riding handler represents something worse than monsters: cosmic bureaucracy. Earth isn't invaded but audited, humans processed under quality control standards. The alien herself embodies industrial efficiency until, unexpectedly, she develops curiosity. A disabled man's face examined with newfound fascination. A piece of cake tasted then spat out. Her growing awareness culminates in forest solitude where, attempting to understand her stolen form, she peels back human skin to glimpse her true nature. Her death brings no catharsis. The snow continues falling, indifferent to the burning alien. No cosmic justice, no meaning, just resource collection, briefly interrupted before the next harvester arrives. What haunts isn't the predation but its routine nature. Not evil but efficiency, not invasion but inventory. Nyarlathotep. While cosmic gods slumber beyond the stars, one walks among us wearing human skin. Feel that inexplicable shiver when a stranger's glance lingers too long? Perhaps you've already met the crawling chaos. Nyarlathotep, the Black Pharaoh, the faceless god, the haunter of the dark, stands unique among Lovecraft's pantheon. Unlike distant deities who destroy through indifference, he destroys through intimate understanding. He studies humanity not as a scientist observes bacteria, but as a child examines ants before reaching for a magnifying glass. His whispers seed civilizations with madness that flowers across generations. His footsteps trace paths to doors that should remain sealed. When he speaks, reality splits along the fault lines of your deepest fears. His most elegant trick? Convincing victims to dismantle their own lives, brick by sanity-preserving brick. What makes Nyarlathotep uniquely terrifying isn't his thousand masks or his ancient knowledge, it's his attention. When a cosmic entity notices you, salvation isn't coming, only prolonged, exquisite destruction, tailored precisely to your specific vulnerabilities. He doesn't want your soul or your worship. He wants your participation in experiments where you're both subject and unwitting assistant, forever advancing the science of your own annihilation, dancing to music only he can hear. The endless resolution. This interconnected universe, crafted by directors Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, centers on an invisible cosmic entity that traps people in time loops for its entertainment. The films follow two brothers returning to a UFO death cult they escaped years earlier, only to discover something genuinely supernatural lurks there. What separates this cosmos from conventional horror is its predator-prey relationship. The unseen force doesn't want to destroy humanity. It wants to farm us for emotional responses. It creates pocket dimensions where people repeat the same traumatic scenarios indefinitely, watching their suffering like we'd watch a favorite movie on repeat. The entity, never fully shown, communicates through photographs, videotapes, and other media, leaving artifacts that breach the walls between time loops. These media fragments serve as both warning and manipulation, guiding victims toward more dramatically satisfying actions. Distance and isolation define this universe's mechanics. The further characters stray from civilization, the more reality unravels. Camp Arcadia, the cult's compound, exists in a temporal bubble where members never age, trapped in cycles of communal harmony that mask their imprisonment. Most disturbing is the implication that our entertainment consumption mirrors the entity's behavior. As we rewatch favorite films or replay emotional scenes, we participate in the same cycle of manufactured emotional response. The creature isn't alien to us because, in essence, we already understand its fundamental desire for narrative satisfaction, no matter the cost. The Color Out of Space. Richard Stanley's adaptation of Lovecraft's classic tale creates a universe where cosmic contamination transforms a rural landscape into an alien nightmare. When a meteorite crashes onto the Gardner family farm, it unleashes a color beyond the visible spectrum that infects everything it touches. This universe's horror stems from gradual, inexorable corruption. The color seeps into the soil, water, and eventually living tissue, warping biology and physics simultaneously. Time distorts around the farm as the color's influence spreads. Clocks run at different speeds, electronic devices malfunction, and reality itself becomes unreliable. The entity manifests not as a monster but as a property of light and matter, previously unknown to science. It represents cosmic forces utterly indifferent to human existence, operating on principles incompatible with terrestrial biology. The color doesn't hate humanity, it simply uses organic matter as raw material for purposes we cannot fathom. What separates this universe from other cosmic horror settings is its focus on environmental contamination. The horror spreads outward in concentric circles, transforming plants and animals into luminescent, hybridized abominations. Human victims merge with their surroundings, their bodies becoming conduits for something beyond comprehension. The Gardner family's disintegration, both psychological and eventually physical, serves as microcosm for humanity's fragility when confronted with cosmic forces. Nathan Gardner's descent into madness culminates in his transformation into something neither human nor alien, but a grotesque intermediate stage. The film suggests that when the universe touches us, we don't just die, we become unrecognizable even to ourselves. The Sinking City, Frogwares creates a universe where cosmic intrusion manifests through biological and architectural corruption. Private investigator Charles Reed arrives in Oakmont, a partially flooded city isolated following mysterious oceanic events, seeking explanation for his psychic visions of a drowning civilization. What elevates this beyond conventional horror is its cognitive geography. Oakmont exists simultaneously as physical location and psychic construct, a city where collective belief shapes reality. The flooding separated Oakmont from conventional America, not just physically but dimensionally, creating a pocket reality where cosmic forces seep through weakened barriers. The cosmic elements manifest through biological transformation. The Innsmouthers, fish-human hybrids, represent evolutionary adaptation to coming cosmic changes. The diving suits, humans permanently sealed in underwater gear, suggest technological adaptation to the same inevitability. Both represent humanity's divergent paths in response to impending transformation. Most unsettling is the game's approach to knowledge. Investigation mechanics require balancing evidence gathering with sanity preservation. Reed's Mind Palace reconstructs crime scenes but risks psychic contamination with each use. The universe suggests understanding cosmic truth requires fundamentally altering human consciousness, a price few can pay without losing themselves entirely. The setting weaponizes history itself. Oakmont's founding families, who made pacts with underwater entities millennia ago, represent how cosmic corruption transmits generationally through bloodlines and institutional power. The Great Old Ones don't need direct attacks when ambitious humans willingly forge pacts, corrupting future generations for short-term advantage despite long-term collective doom. SCP Foundation's Cosmic Anomalies. Flip through the Foundation's classified files and feel reality crumble beneath your fingertips. These aren't ghost stories, they're containment procedures for fractures in existence itself. Within sterile documentation lurk horrors beyond comprehension, patterned screamers, beings trapped when our universe formed, screaming eternally in the static between your thoughts. SCP-3125, a mimetic cancer that erases minds that comprehend it, spreading through cognition itself. SCP-2317, an apocalypse deity restrained by 7 chains, 6 already broken, the 7th wearing thin. Run your hand along pristine hallway walls where fluorescent lights flicker, not from electrical failures but reality glitches. Behind unmarked doors, researchers monitor beings from dimensions where physics is more suggestion than law. The Foundation's most chilling revelation? Containment merely postpones the inevitable. Some anomalies can't be contained, only delayed. When daybreaks reveals a universe where sunlight liquefies human flesh into conscious, ever-suffering amalgams that remember being you while hungering for those still unchanged, in this universe, death offers no escape. Consciousness persists through biological impossibilities. The veil between normalcy and nightmare isn't just thin, it's disintegrating, held together only by exhausted researchers who increasingly question whether reality deserves preservation or mercy-killing. Sweet dreams will contain them too. The Void. This Canadian nightmare vision creates a universe where cultists in white robes and triangular hoods usher in a dimension of biological horror. When a group of survivors barricade themselves in an abandoned hospital, they discover it serves as a gateway to a realm where flesh is infinitely malleable and death merely a transition. The Void's universe operates on principles of transformation rather than destruction. Human bodies become clay for reshaping, sprouting tentacles, extra eyes, and impossible geometries, while consciousness remains horrifyingly intact. The cult views this metamorphosis as transcendence, a grotesque evolution towards something beyond humanity. At this cosmos' center waits a godlike entity spanning dimensions, birthing monstrosities and absorbing consciousness into its mass of writhing tissue. The cult's leader sacrificed his daughter to this being, receiving prophetic visions and the power to bridge dimensions in return. His followers seek similar communion through ritualistic murder and self-mutilation. What distinguishes this universe is its visceral, biological approach to cosmic horror. While many similar settings emphasize psychological terror, the Void creates a tactile nightmare where bodies split open, organs rearrange, and bone forms new architectures. Reality becomes as mutable as flesh, with hospital corridors stretching into impossible geometries, leading to chambers of living tissue. The film suggests death might be merciful compared to the alternative, absorption into a collective consciousness spanning multiple realities, experiencing perpetual transformation without release. The final revelation of a vast, pyramid-shaped entity composed of countless merged bodies hints at an ancient cosmic hierarchy waiting beyond the veil of conventional reality. Beyond the Black Rainbow, in an isolated research institute, a young woman with psychic abilities is kept prisoner by a doctor who once sought enlightenment but found something darker. Dr. Nile watches Elena through surveillance monitors, suppresses her powers with drugs, and performs experiments that blur the boundary between science and ritual. The facility's sterile corridors pulse with unnatural light. Time seems to stretch and compress without warning. This isn't just about captivity. Beyond the Black Rainbow creates a world where the pursuit of expanded consciousness becomes its own prison. The Arborea Institute began with utopian intentions, to elevate humanity through technology, meditation, and controlled psychedelic experiences. But their methods fractured reality itself. When Dr. Nile travels through the black liquid, he returns fundamentally changed, hollow yet dangerous. human in appearance only. The most disturbing aspect is how the film embodies its own theme through its hypnotic, disorienting style. The deliberate pacing, pulsing synthesizer score, and saturated colors create the sensation of being trapped in someone else's drug trip. As Elena attempts escape, the facility transforms around her, spaces becoming impossible, timeline fragmenting without warning. Beyond the black rainbow suggests something terrifying. What if our attempts to evolve beyond human limitations only reveal how fragile our grasp on reality already is? The gateway to higher consciousness might actually be a one-way door to madness that we're too eager to open. The Whisperer in Darkness. Something watches from Vermont's mist-shrouded hills. Something harvests. Something waits with infinite patience. Hear that? Between radio stations in static most dismiss as atmospheric interference. The whispering, always just below comprehension, until suddenly, terribly you understand. Lovecraft's tale begins with folklore, strange sightings in isolated mountain communities, before revealing cosmic truth. The Mi-Go aren't simply aliens, they're beings from another state of matter, visiting Earth while traversing dimensions humans cannot perceive. Their technology doesn't violate physics. It operates on principles physics has yet to discover. Feel the weight of the metal cylinder in your hands. Inside, a human consciousness preserved without its body, ready for transport to worlds physical forms could never survive. The Mi-Go don't abduct violently. They seduce with knowledge, offering cosmic wonders in exchange for voluntary disembodiment. The tale's insidious horror emerges through the protagonist's discovery that his friend didn't resist but joined willingly. I'll be there by night, though my body will remain behind. Each letter reveals another colleague surrendered to transformation. The Whisperer's most profound terror isn't alien invasion, but seductive invitation. That faced with cosmic perspective, we might willingly abandon everything recognizably human, and would be right to do so. In dimensions where consciousness exists without bodies, where thought patterns replace flesh, humanity's cherished physical existence becomes merely provincial, a limitation masquerading as identity. Control. The Federal Bureau of Control operates in the shadowy margins of reality, investigating paranatural phenomena from a brutalist headquarters that defies architectural logic. This universe posits that consensus reality is fragile, a thin membrane easily punctured by objects of power and altered items that warp the fundamental laws of existence. The oldest house, the FBC's shifting headquarters, represents a nexus where cosmic forces manifest physically. Corridors extend infinitely, rooms rearrange themselves, and certain spaces can only be accessed through ritualistic behaviors. Reality here is malleable, responsive to collective belief and corrupted by intrusions from elsewhere. At this universe's center lies the astral plane, a dimension of abstract geometry and psychic resonance where pyramidal entities known as the Board communicate through contradictory bureaucratic jargon. They represent one faction in a cosmic conflict involving the former and the Hiss, the latter being a resonant chant that possesses humans and transforms them into distorted aggressors, suspended in air. What distinguishes Control's horror is its clinical approach to incomprehensible phenomena. Items as mundane as a rubber duck or refrigerator become vessels for forces beyond understanding, cataloged with redacted documentation and contained through pseudoscientific rituals. The mundane becomes terrifying, while the impossible gets processed through mind-numbing bureaucracy. The universe suggests a profound truth beneath its supernatural elements, that reality itself is arbitrary, maintained through collective agreement rather than objective truth. When that consensus falters, worlds collapse, identities dissolve, and the barriers between dimensions become permeable enough for something vast and hungry to slide through. The Southern Reach Trilogy. A government agency investigates Area X, a coastal zone where the laws of nature have been quietly rewritten. Expeditions enter but rarely return. Those who do come back changed, hollow, compliant versions of themselves who soon develop aggressive cancers. Inside the boundary, familiar landscapes become subtly wrong. Plants grow in impossible formations. Animals contain human teeth or speak with human voices. Light behaves strangely in the lighthouse at the zone's center. This isn't just about an anomalous location. The Southern Reach Trilogy creates a universe where reality is being patiently translated into something else. The change isn't violent or sudden, it's meticulous, beautiful, and utterly indifferent to human comprehension. As biologist-turned-monster explains, where lies the strangling fruit that came from the hand of the sinner? The most terrifying aspect is how Area X operates beyond human concepts like invasion or contamination. It doesn't destroy, it transforms through a process resembling both cancer and evolution simultaneously. Those who enter become part of this transformation, their cells rewritten, memories absorbed, identities dissolved into the landscape itself. The government's desperate attempts to understand only accelerate their own undoing. The Southern Reach trilogy suggests something deeply unsettling. Perhaps the most profound threat to humanity isn't destruction, but transcription, being rewritten into a language we can't speak, incorporated into an ecology where human consciousness is just raw material for something beyond our comprehension. Not death, but perfect alien integration. The fisherman. What depths would you plumb to hold a lost loved one again? What hooks would pierce your flesh if reunion waited on the line? Along Dutchman's Creek, grief becomes a current pulling you toward deeper waters. Langen's masterpiece begins with simple loss, widowers seeking solace in fishing, before dragging readers into cosmic undertow, ripples on black water mirror, tears on hollow cheeks as the fisherman appears with his terrible promise. He can reel back what death has claimed. Feel cold water seeping into your boots as you wade deeper, rod trembling in white-knuckled hands. That weight on the line isn't a trout, it's everything you've lost, everything you'd sacrifice sanity to recover. The novel's true terror emerges not from tentacled abominations, but from the perfect understanding that grief hollows humans into vessels ready to be filled with cosmic horror. The vast, incomprehensible thing beneath dark waters mirrors the vast, incomprehensible nature of loss. Both transform you into someone unrecognizable. The fisherman weaponizes your most vulnerable moment, when sorrow has gutted you, to offer exactly what you most desire, knowing you'll accept any cost. Here, the abyss doesn't just stare back. It offers what you most crave at the price of everything you are. What bait would lure you beyond redemption? The OA. Beneath its science fiction veneer, the OA constructs a cosmic horror universe where consciousness transcends dimensional boundaries through ritualistic movement. Prairie Johnson returns after a 7-year disappearance, now calling herself the original angel, and recruiting 5 strangers to help open a portal to another dimension. This universe posits that reality comprises overlapping dimensions, accessible through near-death experiences and choreographed movements called the movements. These precise gestures, taught by entities described as angels but functioning more like interdimensional beings, allow consciousness to travel between realities, even inhabiting different bodies across the multiverse. What transforms this into cosmic horror is the implication that human consciousness is merely temporary housing for ancient entities. Hap, the series' antagonist, collects people who've had near-death experiences, experimenting on them to map the multiverse through induced clinical death. His subjects become vessels for forces beyond human comprehension. The series introduces cosmic horror through clinical detachment rather than overt monstrosity. In sterile underground facilities, Hap drowns his subjects repeatedly, recording the sounds produced during their temporary deaths. Sounds that, when properly arranged, create a map to other dimensions. Human suffering becomes data collection for accessing realms humanity wasn't meant to reach. Most unsettling is the suggestion that our universe is merely one iteration among infinite variations, with consciousness flowing between them through carefully orchestrated death. Characters discover they've lived countless versions of their lives across dimensions, raising questions about identity, free will, and whether we're truly individual beings or fragments of something incomprehensibly larger. Hyperlight. Drifter, a wanderer with a terminal illness, traverses the ruins of a civilization, destroyed by technology it couldn't control. The nameless drifter coughs blood as they fight through landscapes where giant corpses lie half-buried in fluorescent wastelands. Ancient machines still function, but their purpose is lost. 4 titans once protected this world, but now their power sources are targets for scavengers and zealots alike. This isn't just about post-apocalyptic survival. Hyperlight Drifter creates a world where language itself has collapsed. There is no dialogue, only images, music, and symbolism tell the story. The absence of words forces players to piece together history from environmental details. Murals depicting a cataclysm, holograms showing a society's fall, abandoned laboratories where something went terribly wrong. What makes this universe particularly haunting is how it connects physical and metaphysical sickness. The Drifter's illness mirrors the world's corruption, both infected by something that glows an unnatural pink. The technology that destroyed civilization resembles cancer, growing out of control, consuming everything. The few survivors huddle in settlements, watching the infection spread while knowing it cannot be stopped. Hyperlight Drifter suggests something profoundly disturbing. Perhaps civilization's collapse won't come with explanations or meaning. History becomes incomprehensible to survivors. Technology becomes indistinguishable from magic, and those who remember the truth may lack the language to warn others before they, too, succumb to the same corruption. Event horizon. Metal groans beneath your feet. Blood pulses through corridors that shouldn't have veins. A doorway stands before you. Beyond it, not stars, but something that makes stars seem comforting. Where we're going, we don't need eyes to see. A rescue crew investigates an experimental ship designed to create artificial black holes for faster-than-light travel. They discover the event horizon didn't just bend space, it punched through it, emerging from a dimension where physical laws become torture devices and consciousness exists only to experience pain. The ship returned, changed, not possessed, transformed into sensory organs for entities that experience reality through suffering. Touch cold metal walls, slick with condensation that might be tears. Listen to whispers from ventilation shafts that sound disturbingly like your own voice. What distinguishes Event Horizon from typical space horror is its cosmic inversion. What we call hell is actually reality's fundamental state. Our universe, with its comprehensible physics, is the aberration, a fragile bubble in an ocean of chaos. The ship doesn't want to kill. It wants to preserve victims in states of perpetual, exquisite torment, where even atoms arrange themselves to maximize agony. When Dr. Weir whispers, "Hell is only a word," the reality is much, much worse. He's being literal. The film's most terrifying implication? We're all approaching an event horizon where rationality disintegrates and there's no reversing course. Salvation isn't coming. It never existed. From this universe traps travelers in a nameless town surrounded by an impassable forest, harboring nocturnal creatures that wear human faces. By day, the community functions as a nightmarish parody of small-town America. By night, residents barricade themselves against entities that cannot enter without invitation. What elevates this setting beyond conventional horror is its manipulation of fundamental constants. Time operates differently. Children born in town age rapidly, while others remain unchanged for decades. The surrounding forest reconfigures itself, making escape impossible as paths loop back to town regardless of direction traveled. The creatures themselves represent cosmic horror through their unknowability. They perfectly mimic loved ones, using emotional manipulation to gain entry before revealing their true nature. Their origins remain deliberately obscure. They might be interdimensional predators, manifestations of collective guilt, or something entirely beyond categorization. The town exists as a pocket dimension or a fold in reality where normal rules dissolve. Mysterious forces deliver supplies in the forest, radio signals from different eras bleed through, and buried totems suggest ancient awareness of the phenomenon. Characters discover elaborate mechanical structures beneath the town, hinting at purposeful design behind their imprisonment. Most disturbing is the implication that the town selects specific people across time and space, drawing them in through supernatural roadblocks, forcing travelers along specific routes. This suggests an intelligence to the nightmare, not random bad luck but deliberate collection of human specimens for purposes unknown, studied through their reactions to inescapable horror. The Ballad of Black Tom. Victor Laval constructs a universe where cosmic horror intersects with America's racial injustice. Tommy Tester, a hustler navigating 1920s Harlem, encounters wealthy occultist Robert Sudum, seeking to awaken the sleeping king, a cosmic entity existing beyond conventional dimensions. What transforms this into profound cosmic horror is its recontextualization of Lovecraftian tropes. The outsiders traditionally portrayed as threats in cosmic horror parallel the racial outsiders of America's deeply segregated society. The universe suggests cosmic entities aren't inherently hostile. They become weapons when summoned by those already committed to systems of oppression. The cosmic elements manifest through music rather than conventional rituals. Tommy's guitar playing opens dimensional gateways when combined with specific knowledge and location. The universe positions jazz and blues as magical systems developed by marginalized communities, communications with aspects of reality inaccessible to those enforcing societal constraints. Most disturbing is the protagonist's transformation. After witnessing police brutality against his father, Tommy becomes Black Tom, a willing vessel for cosmic forces seeking entry to our dimension. The universe suggests apocalyptic collaboration becomes rational when existing social systems prove more immediately destructive than abstract cosmic threats. When police murder his father, Tommy's calculation changes. Better to end an unjust world than perpetuate it. The setting weaponizes righteous anger. The supreme alphabet, a mystical language, transforms from protective knowledge to destructive weapon when combined with justified rage at systemic injustice, suggesting cosmic powers remain neutral until channeled through human emotion. The Signal, 2014. 3 college students, 2 tech geniuses, and a filmmaker track a hacker who taunted them. Following coordinates to an abandoned house in the desert, they encounter something that knocks them unconscious. Nick wakes up in a sterile facility where hazmat-suited scientists study him. His legs, previously weakened by muscular dystrophy, now feel strange. When he finally escapes the facility, he discovers his legs have been replaced with powerful mechanical limbs. And that's just the beginning of his transformation. This isn't just a story about abduction. The signal creates a universe where human identity becomes dangerously malleable in the hands of beings with vastly superior technology. As Nick's journey progresses, the truth unravels. What he perceives as Earth is actually an elaborate simulation. The entire facility, the desert around it, even his friends are part of an observation environment constructed by something watching from beyond our world. What makes this truly unsettling is how it plays with perception itself. The aliens don't just study humans physically, they study our emotional responses, our bonds, our decisions under pressure. Everything Nick experiences has been engineered to elicit specific reactions. His desperate escape is exactly what his observers wanted to see. The signal suggests something profoundly disturbing. What if humanity is just an interesting specimen to entities so advanced we can't comprehend them? Our most heartfelt relationships, our struggles against adversity, even our rebellions could all be anticipated variables in an experiment we don't know we're part of.
Subscribe for more interesting stuff. Tell us your experience in the comments.